my name's Josh Valentine. I'm 27, I live in Los Angeles, and last year I made $75,000. In this video, I'm going to talk about how I spent, saved, and invested every single dollar that I made in 2023. So if you're interested, let's get into it. I know this is bold, especially for my first ever YouTube video, but I want to make a personal finance YouTube channel. So I felt like it was only right to introduce myself in this way. We're gonna get real up close and personal with my finances. I'm gonna show you how I spend, save, invest, pay off my debt, and where every single dollar that I made in 2023 went. I'll also share a little bit of my background so that you have some context as to how I make the money that I make. I have a full-time job and a side hustle, so we'll talk a little bit about both of those. We'll start with a little background. I graduated from college in August of 2022, so about 2 years ago. I went to Otis College Art and Design out here in Los Angeles. I studied architecture, landscape, and interior design there. While I was finishing up my very last semester in the summer of 2022, I got an internship at a fertility clinic, which is very random, but they needed an interior design intern to design their clinics for them around the country. I came on and joined their team in the summer as I was finishing up school. I was making $20 an hour at that internship, which I continued on for a couple months after graduation. My goal after graduation was to be making $50K, so making $20 an hour was a little bit of a bummer, but I was happy to have that internship because I think I was assuming it would turn into a job that was going to pay me at least $50K. Fortunately, I was right. In October, I got bumped up from $20 an hour to $65K a year. So at the end of 2022, I was making $65,000. I was an assistant project manager, and they had just let go of the project manager. So I had this opportunity at the start of 2023 to take on a bunch more responsibility and hopefully be compensated well for that. I started off the year slowly taking on more responsibility, quickly taking on more responsibility. By February, I got promoted to project manager, got bumped up to $75,000. So that's how we get to that 75. So that's almost how we get to that $75,000. Obviously, the first month and a half of the year, I was making $65,000, so I missed out on like $1,000 or $2,000. I would have been a little bit under $75,000 if I hadn't made any other money. But I also started a side hustle where I do real estate photography and videography for real estate agents here in Los Angeles. I connect with agents. When they have a home that they want to sell, they reach out to me. I shoot drone photos, video of a property. I go get it edited. It usually takes me about 2 hours to do a shoot. I make around $400. I pay my editor about $100, so it's good money. I don't do a ton of it, like I do maybe 1 or 2 shoots a month, but it's just nice added income on the side. And so that extra income got me up to, I think actually a little bit over $75,000. I think I was closer to $76,000 a year. But for the sake of a nice, clean, pretty title, we're going with $75,000. So now you know how I made my money. Let's get into how I spent it all in 2023, which we're able to do because I tracked every single penny that I made and spent last year. I've actually linked the tracker that I use. Well, a nicer, upgraded version of the tracker that I use. I wish I had upgraded it for myself because it works so much better now, but I wanted to make you guys something. It's completely free. You can go check it in the below, in the comment section, in the description. That's what it's called. Sorry, first YouTube video. But yeah, so you can go check that out. I highly recommend tracking your expenses, tracking your money for a year. Even if you just track it for a month, that'd be helpful. Track your money for any period of time, it would be helpful, but a year was really nice. I was able to average everything out so that I could see month to month where my money goes. And there were some areas that surprised me in a positive way and some areas that surprised me in a negative way. I split my expenses into 2 different categories, and I still couldn't figure out like good names for these categories, but essentially it's what I paid myself, so everything that I invested and saved and used to pay off debt and increase my net worth. And then the next group is what I spent, like all my expenses. We're gonna start with what I paid myself because that's what's most important, and then we'll get into what I spent because that's what you guys are here for. So first up, savings. I put $12,600 into savings last year. This was my first full year making money out of college. So I had no savings before this. In college, I was just scrapping by and driving delivery, Uber Eats, and all that to make money to pay for my groceries. I did not have savings when I was in college. So starting off 2023, I had 57 cents in a savings account. I was like, I need an emergency fund. It was just gonna provide me a bunch of peace of mind. So I focused a lot of a lot of the money that I saved and invested into a high yield savings account. That savings account was getting 4 to 5% interest throughout the year. I think right now it's at 4.5. I think it got up to 4.6, 4.7. I don't remember exactly, but it was somewhere in that range throughout the year. So getting several months saved up, for me, I spend about $3,000 a month on living expenses. $12,000 is about 4 months for me. If I really needed to stretch it, I could stretch it probably 5 or 6 months. So that's beautiful. I love having that peace of mind. It's so important. If you don't have an emergency fund, focus on that. It will make your life better. I guarantee it. The next biggest category is what I spent on my side hustle, the real estate photography that I talked about earlier. And that number is $7,300, just over $7,300, barely over $7,300. The majority of that money went towards the camera and the lens. And then I had to get, a tripod and gimbals, and I got a drone as well. The drone was a big expense. So camera, lens, and drone were probably close to $5,000, $4,000. And then all the little accessories and subscriptions for the website and for Adobe products, that all added up pretty quickly. And so the total that I spent on my business was about $7,300. I made back like $3,000 last year. I've made $2,000 this year. I've made $2,000 this year. So I'm getting close to breaking even on that. I think I'll break even somewhere around October, November of this year. And after that, it'll just be profit, which I'm very excited for. Next up, 401k, we're getting into the investing. Last year, I did not really put any money in my 401k. This was mostly money that my company put into the 401k. I put about $100 in. Then I realized that they weren't doing any sort of company match, and I was like, contribution amount to zero. So then I just invested my money in a Roth IRA. I didn't invest much, period, last year because I was focusing on my savings. You'll see that. But yeah, so not much to say about that. $1,200, most of that, with the exception of $100, was from my company putting in money. I forget what it was called. They did some big lump sum contribution at the end of the year, and it was like a little over $1,000. And we'll take it. We're not gonna argue with that. And then my Roth similarly was around $1,200. I really wanted to max out my Roth last year, but when it came down to it, the savings was just more important to me. And I'm really glad that I did that. So this year, I've already more than doubled what I put into my Roth and my 401k because the focus now is investing and paying off debt. Like I got the emergency fund, now let's focus the money elsewhere. So that's at $1,200 towards my Roth. Next up, I put a little over $700 towards my student loans. The only reason this number is so low is because we didn't have to start repaying student loans until around October of 2023. So I started my minimum payments $150 a month, or it was, now it's I think 80. But I paid that minimum payment October, November, December, and then I put an additional $300 in December to just pay off extra principal. So that's how I got to $700. And then last but not least, we've got crypto. I put $200 in crypto. I think I just had, if I remember correctly, I just had an extra $200. Maybe it was birthday or Christmas money or something. And I was like, let's have some fun. Let's put some money in crypto. And I actually do have quite a big portfolio of crypto, but I bought it all back in 2020 and I'm just letting it sit and do its thing, and it's grown a bunch, but I'm not putting more money in. So this was a one-off. I got an extra $200. I bought some Bitcoin. Cool. So in total for 2023, I put $23,422.53 into saving, investing, paying for my business, paying off debt, paying myself, increasing my net worth. So I'm very happy with that. It's just over 31% of my pre-tax income of $75,000, which my goal is to be over 25%. So I cleared that and I'm very happy with that. Moving on to what you guys are here for, my spending. Now you guys can judge me. You guys can get in the comments and be like, man, he spent too much here, he spent too much there. Whatever you want to do, have fun with it. Housing was the biggest category, obviously. I spent $9,700 on housing. The only way I was able to spend this little on housing, if you know LA, rent is not cheap here. I think the average one bedroom's $2,400, $2,500. I was able to keep this expense so low because I lived with family for 5 months, and then I lived with roommates the rest of the year. I spent around $1,250 to $1,350 a month through the rest of the year on rent and utilities and housing. Next biggest category, I spent about $4,700 on travel. I'm born and raised on the East Coast in Philly, so I've still got a bunch of family and friends in Philly, in Baltimore, in DC, in New York, Central Pennsylvania, all over the East Coast. I try to get back twice a year, once in the summer, once in the winter for the holidays. And last year I did 2 weeks in the summer and 3 weeks in the winter. So that's a big chunk of that $4,300. That's probably $2,000 to $3,000 of the $4,300. I also did a Boston and New York trip with my girlfriend, and then I did a couple of day/weekend trips here in LA, where we went down to San Diego, where we went to a national park, or down to Mexico. So that is travel for me, and I'm totally fine with that. That was all well spent. Next up, transportation. I spent $4,300 on transportation, and so this category includes everything related to my car and to transportation. Thankfully, I paid my car off in 2022. But then I've got parking, I've got gas, I've got car insurance, auto repairs, then Lyfts, Ubers, any public transit that I take, it all gets grouped into this category. I also include parking tickets, like anything related to having a car and getting places. So I'm happy with that number. We'd love to keep it low for as long as possible. I'm gonna drive my car into the dirt. I think I got another 10 years on my good old Ford Fusion. Eating out is next up. This is one of those areas. There's 2 areas this year that surprised me negatively. Eating out and going out to the bars was one of them. I spent $4,200 on that. I thought this number was gonna be closer to like $2,000, $2,500, which that would be totally fine. That's like $200 a month, which in LA is 1 to 2 nights out a month, which is kind of where I want to be at this stage in my life. I don't want to be going out like crazy and spending my money in that way. So this was an area where it was great to see at the end of the year that I spent that much. And this year I'm going out a lot less. I am eating out a bit more. So we'll see. It's probably still going to be higher than what I want it to be, but I'm going to be making progress in the right direction. And you know, eating out and going out to the bars isn't the worst way to spend money. You make memories, you're with friends. It's not the end of the world. The other area that I spent money that I'm not happy about is much worse. Next up is groceries. The benefit of spending more money eating out and going to bars is that you spend less on groceries. So this was the one area that I spent a lot less than I thought I would have. I would have guessed around $5,000 for groceries, but it wasn't. It was around $3,400. I also traveled a lot for work last year, so that helped this number be lower, because obviously when I was traveling, everything was covered by the company, so I wasn't having to pay for groceries. So that's probably honestly why this number's lower. But I generally spend, I think, about $400 a month on groceries. So this year that number is gonna be higher because I got a new job, I'm not traveling as much. I think this will be an outlier of a year for groceries. It's an area that I'm fine spending more money in because I wanna get good quality foods. I want to eat as healthy as I can, so I'm fine with spending a little bit more in this area. Clothes, I spent $2,900 on. A big chunk of that was I got myself a suit, and then I just did a bit of a wardrobe refresh because I've been in and out of school and working odd jobs for 7 years. I was not spending much of any money on clothes. Even to this day, most of my closet is, I'm pointing over here because my closet's right over here. Even to this day, most of my closet is white and black t-shirts and jeans. So I keep it simple, but last year I did treat myself a bit on clothes. This year it's gonna be way lower, probably closer to $500 to $1,000. Moving on to the next category, health and wellness. This is gonna be about half my gym expense and then half keeping myself clean and looking decent. Haircuts, body wash, toothpaste, toothbrush, sunscreen, anything like that goes into this category. Coffee controversial area for all financial influencers. Everyone has a different opinion on this. My opinion, for me personally, is that I get a lot more value out of going and getting coffee than the $5 to $10 that I'm gonna spend when I'm there. I go to a coffee shop on my remote work days. I'll work there for 2-3 hours. On the weekends, I'll go, I'll hang out. There's a bunch of other locals there who I see all the time. It's just a nice little vibe, outdoor seating. I get to spend some time outside in the sun. So, well worth it to me. I'm not worried about this. I'll probably spend this much or more this year on coffee. I am going into the office more now. That's saving me some money, but it's not an area I'm worried about. I'm so happy to go spend that money on coffee. Next up is bills, the fun stuff. I'll be honest, I didn't look through every individual expense to make this video. I just looked at the total from the end of the year. So I know my phone bill is $85 a month. I don't know what other bills I added into this category, so who knows? But I spent $1,500 on bills last year. Then I spent $1,200 on miscellaneous. That's just, whatever random stuff I purchased throughout the year on Amazon, out and about. Then I spent $900 on gifts. I should probably spend more on gifts, but I'm totally happy with that. $900. I bought a bunch of people that I love, things that hopefully they love, experiences that hopefully they loved. And you can't really be mad about that, right? Alcohol, this is the area, this is the expense that I was the least happy about. And this one I actually caught halfway through the year. I was looking at my finances at the end of June, July, somewhere in there, and noticed that I had spent like $700 already. And I was like, that's insane. I'm gonna spend $1,500 on alcohol. And this isn't like going out to drink with friends. This is like I'm buying a bottle of wine and chilling on a couch with my girlfriend. I could do the exact same thing without the wine and have just about as good a time without spending the money and without having to deal with any sort of hangover or bad sleep. And so the second half of the year, I did not drink nearly as much. There was a stretch that I didn't drink at all. And so I spent about $700 in the first half of the year, and then I cut back. I spent like $150 the rest of the year. This year, that number is gonna be way lower. I'm drinking way less and very happy with that. But that was one of the areas that like really surprised me. Next up, and we're getting close to the end here, only got 2 more categories. Home goods, furniture, cleaning supplies, anything like that. Spent about $600. Not much more to say there. That's totally fine. And then education, last but not least, $170. This is just money spent on books. Super small category. Probably don't need to include it, but I like to know what I spend on education. And then in the future, if I spend any money on courses or whatnot, I just like to track that. So in total for 2023, I spent $33,203.29 on life expenses. And that is under 50% of my total income, which is also my goal. So I hit both my goals for spending and for saving and investing. Very happy about that. Hopefully we can keep that going moving forward. I'm making more money this year, so the percentages are probably going to be a little bit different. I'm trying to spend basically the same as I spent last year. But anyway, grand total comes out to $56,625.82. Obviously that doesn't include taxes. Taxes make up the remaining $19,000, $20,000 that I made last year. I was able to write off some business expenses, which was nice, but for the most part, I gotta pay full income taxes. So that's a wrap for the video. You know where all of my money went in 2023. Obviously it's halfway through 2024 already. I have been putting off this video for a while because it is my first YouTube video. I've been scared to start. So the fact that I've finally put this video out, even though it's late, I'm proud of myself. With that said, I got 2 things to ask of you guys. If you tracked your money last year, I'm curious, what was the area for you that surprised you the most? Where did you spend more money than you thought you would have, or less money than you thought you would have? Go share that in the comments, and then please go ahead and hit subscribe. I'm gonna be putting out more content about personal finance, about investing. So I'm looking forward to growing and learning with you guys and hopefully making some money with you guys. And then don't forget, down below, I've linked the template that I used to track my money in 2023. It's completely free. I made it for you guys to help you guys out. So if you're interested, go check that out. And with that said, thank you guys again for being here. It means so much to me from the bottom of my heart. I'm so excited to start this YouTube, and I'm so excited to continue to make these videos for you guys. So thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.